a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
I'm Christina Kahn.
And I'm Leela Hilton.
And this is Burn Before Reading, the podcast about shiterature.
We're here again to examine the terrible writing we did when we were younger and talk about some other cringy literary topics.
Our guest today is Adal Rifai. Say hello to the listeners, Adal.
Hello, listeners, and hello to the two of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, hello. Hello. Thank you for being here. We're really excited for this week's episode.
Wee.
What are your pronouns?
He, him.
Perfect. And tell the listeners about your podcast and the work you do in case they're new to you.
Yeah, so I do a lot of, I'm almost exclusively improvised podcasts. A lot of it, podcasts are improvised, but I think we lean into scenes and stuff. I do a podcast called Hey Riddle Riddle, which is me and two friends trying to solve riddles, puzzles, lateral thinking problems, and doing improv along the way. I do an improvised fantasy podcast called Hello from the Magic Tavern, which is sort of set. A guy falls into a portal into a magical world, and instead of going on high adventures, he just kind of hangs out with the locals and gets to know the world. And do some other shows as well, and all that jazz in Chicago.
Yeah, hell yeah. I also listened to your podcast, The Word Association, and I'm thinking about how interesting it is that you Hello from the Magic Tavern is like very, very deep, long-form, immersive improv, but and like Hey Riddle Riddle's in the middle, and then on the other end of the spectrum is The Word Association, which I would call like improv so light,
yes.
You know? Mostly shooting the shit with the odd like scene in there.
Yeah, we use improv
we
use improv like saffron. In Hey Riddle Riddle, it's salt, or Magic Tavern, it's salt. With The Word Association, it's saffron. It's like the lightest sprinkle, and then let's get back to conversation or whatever bit we want to run with.
Yeah, we can't afford to use that much.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It is. Adal.
Yes.
What has been cringing you out this week?
Ooh. I think I have two. One is... And I think it's because I've been on TikTok before bed for a little bit every night. I don't know if that's a thing with the two of you. But I usually get high and then get on TikTok for an hour.
Oh my God, that's my exact bedtime routine.
Yeah. It's not the best.
Yeah, it's not terribly healthy. But I think I've been really cringed out, really ooged out by how many people on social media apps in general are like selling like hustle culture. And not that this is like something new. I think I've just been exposed to it more in the last couple of weeks than I ever have been. I've been more aware of it than I ever have been. So I'm pretty cringed out by like people who are like, I'm an entrepreneur and I sell selling and I have I have 5 businesses and I flip houses, whatever that is. Where it's like, God bless if you do any of that stuff. But I think the terminology is getting to a point where it's really gross, where I think it's just buzzwords.
Yeah,
totally.
And just the mindset where it's like, if you're really doing all this, why do you need to sell a class with you or whatever it is? It just seems like a really gross culture that a lot of people seem to be falling into.
Yeah. I think like that kind of hustle culture, and then like especially people who have like several different gigs that they do, you really have to like brand yourself a lot, and that creeps me out.
Yes.
It's like, God, please don't be the product, but you like have to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate asking anyone for anything. Like I'd rather not ask my wife for a ride to the airport. Like if I can avoid. Like I hate asking. So this whole thing of like sell yourself, ask. You have to have 20 doors slammed in your face before you get the 21st. All that stuff. I'm like, this could not be more counterintuitive to like how my brain exists. So it's just really makes my skin crawl. And then the other thing is just, this is a conversation I had, maybe it was on the Word Association recently, but for whatever reason it's top of mind, which is I'm really, I find it not super cringe, but a little cringe when hanging out with people or when doing whatever it is, podcasts, hanging out, whatever it might be, with friends or with people you're just meeting for the first time, when you try and make things playful, when you play a game, when you make a bit, not trying to like bring down the house, not trying to like tell a joke or like whatever it is, but just like, I'm going to be playful when people don't keep the ball in the air. So for example, if you say like, this pasta XYZ, you say whatever offhanded comment to be playful or silly or whatever it is, bring some levity, and someone just goes like, wah, wah, and then moves on. That to me is really cringe inducing of like, oh, I wasn't trying to like test material. I wasn't trying to, whatever it is.
Right.
But I think, I think just join me in the space. Like you can make a comment or you can be like, oh, whatever it is. I think being able to keep up your end of the playful conversation is such a unappreciated skill. So that idea of like being playful, play in the sandbox with someone versus just being like, wah, wah, and then being like, anyway. And it's like, oh, geez, I'm so sorry you read that as like me trying to whatever. Yeah.
Have you ever played the game Exploding Kittens?
I have, but it's been a while.
There's a card. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
There's a card that you play different cards. They say different things. And there's a card that says nope. And whatever somebody else is trying to do, if you play the nope card, it just shuts them down. And I feel like that's like the conversational equivalent of a nope card.
Yeah.
Just shut it down.
I like that term. Stop playing the nope card. I like that a lot. That's great. Even if I say, I'm trying to think of like a dumb example, even if I say like, this fettuccine I'm eating, they're like little Italian worms or something. Even if I say something as dumb as that, which I'm just saying because I have nothing else I can think of at the moment, even if you say like, that is the dumbest thing in the world, or does that make sense? Even if you say like, that's stupid, or what are you talking about, or whatever it is, that to me is still playing. Like, if you like shoot me down in a playful way, that's still playful. So to me, it's a thing of like, you can undermine me, you can undercut the joke or whatever it is. But to me, it's just a thing of like, if you are too apathetic to even join me negatively or positively, that to me is the apathy of that is the dead zone.
Like match the level. You don't have to match the tone.
Yes. But Brett on the word association, he'll say something and I'll razz and rib him super hard. And to me, that's still fun and playful.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Because you're not just going, oh, okay, then. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like if the dumb analogy, but it's like if in baseball, a pitcher threw a pitch and it whizzed by the batter and went into the catcher's hand and the ump went, oh. And it's like, well, it's either a strike or a ball. I don't care which it is.
Give me something.
Yeah, it's like either a strike or a ball. It's either positive or negative, but you can't just go, oh.
Leela, what's cringing you out this week?
There's this like type of personality that's like a really not fun friend or person to be around, where they really like try very hard to make others feel uncool just for being enthusiastic about things.
Yes.
I don't think we have any of those friends
and we really
anymore.
don't. I mean, I
Get
at this point in my life,
here.
I'm too old to be hanging out with people who yuck on my yum.
Yes.
But
yeah. It's a bit on a bit on a bit, and then it's like, have Leela and I ever had a real conversation, or has it all just been bits? We don't know.
It's the bits we made along the way. I mean, it is. But I understand, and we sometimes have to just like be associated, just run into those people just with work and family and whatever, and then like you're like, oh, I'm outside of my bubble, my safe bubble, and people are mean here. I don't like it.
Yeah. And then you start to get in your head of like, if I talk about last night's Bluey, are they going to be like, you really like Bluey? Like you're an adult who watch whatever that is, where it's like,
Bluey's very poppin' these days. There's a lot of shit going down on Bluey.
Oh yeah.
So when we're recording right now, it was recently Mother's Day. I bring it up because I think probably like most people have some kind of, even if it's minor, kind of like uncomfortability or inconvenience with Mother's Day. And I just find it frustrating sometimes, like especially if you're in a relationship and you're trying to be as nice as you can to like both mothers in the picture, and it sometimes can get it's sometimes just frustrating because you feel like you spend so much time and energy trying to make it like as equal as possible, but it's never going to be enough, you know? Like somebody's always going to get a little bit more, feel like they got like left out, or like somebody's always not going to be quite as happy. And it's just like,
you know what? I've heard, none of us have kids, but I've heard that even if you had a baby, Leela, you would still feel that exact same way.
Yeah,
on Mother's
I mean,
Day.
it'll be worse too, because then it'll be like, oh, but we only got 1 hour of baby time, and they got a whole weekend, you know, whatever. And it's like, you know, we're just like kind of doing our best. And it just makes me feel, I don't have kids at this point, but, you know, I was just, you know, talking to someone I love who does have kids, and like, you know, at one point, like, and she was very frustrated because her mom was kind of like being weird to her, because at one, like, they were spending Saturday with her, and then on actual Mother's Day, it was with like the other mom. And she was just like, you know, it kind of just like makes me not want to go over there. It makes me really, really stressed out when she guilts me like this. And I was like, yeah, what about your Mother's Day, bitch? And she's like, you know what, Leela? I've been thinking the exact same thing. So any moms listening to this, you know, I guess thank you for your service. But like, also, you know, just like maybe try not to like just continue this cycle of mom guilt. Like, moms don't have to be the ones.
I think it's like elder moms. I don't think it's like moms our age. I think it's the elder moms who probably aren't listening to this show because they don't have nostalgia for 1997.
Unless, God forbid, it's our moms, in which case, sorry, moms.
I think about that constantly when we record. I'm like, Mom, are you listening? I don't know.
I know, everyone. She pretty much at this point, ever since she's like listened to an episode and like heard us swearing, she's like, please she's like, tell me if it's a safe episode to listen to.
There are none.
Oh, damn.
Typically there are none.
So does she not swear at all?
No. My mother is like, she's like an evangelical Disney princess.
Wow.
That type of stuff very much upsets her.
Okay.
Her world. So, no, she
The
can't
kind of
handle.
mom where, like, swearing hurts her physically.
It does. Yeah. She winces. And she'll give me one of these.
My mom's not, like, very precious, but she really hates burping. And if you burp around her, she's like,
oh, Christina. Really, Christina? Really?
It's like, Mother, I'm drinking a LaCroix. I dare you to burp, drink a LaCroix and not burp.
Do you ever, like, wonder, like, is your mom okay? Like, I wonder sometimes if my mom's like that too. And I'm like, so like when you go to the bathroom, are you just like going ham? Like she just like has to be like, just like absolute, like, cause she will not fart. She will not fart in public.
Oh.
She will not burp in public.
I got a real bean loving mom. She's a farter.
My mom's a vegetarian and eats mostly beans.
Oh shit.
That's how
Where the farts go?
How
Where
thick
the
the
farts
repression
go?
is. Yeah.
Whoa.
She just goes into the bathroom, I guess, and just like goes ham. And I'm like, is that better? And is that more ladylike? You know, I don't.
Just blare some Andre Bocelli music and then nothing's happening.
Andre Bocelli is such a mom artist.
It is.
I'm too sick. Absolutely. Bellagio fountain, the whole shebang. That rules.
Christina, what has been cringing you out this week?
Today, I went on a run in the park next to my house, and I, as some of you may know, have some pretty serious thunder thighs. They're big, they're strong, they're long. I'm 5'9", and so my preferred inseam on a bike short is a 5-inch inseam. I could go up to 7. Anything longer is getting too much like a Bermuda. Anything shorter goes right up into the crevices. And so I went out on my run today wearing what I thought was a 5-inch inseam bike short, but I very quickly realized that it must be like 4.5, or like a 4.
I'm picturing both of your mothers passed out, like just when you said goes up into the crevice, they both just bonked their heads on the kitchen island.
They're gone.
Yeah.
We're safe now for the rest of the episode. But so it was only 2 miles, but like basically once a block, I would have to stop and like yoink down both legs really hard, which is just so annoying. And like if there's people around, it just is like drawing attention.
Yeah,
to
you're like, let me adjust myself in public. And,
yeah,
yeah.
It just sucks.
There's violent
like,
geese in that park. Probably were watching you.
Geese
They're perverts.
One of them scared me while I was going past one of the lakes, and one of them like got up out of the lake, which is like probably like a foot clearance from the water to the sidewalk, so it had to flap its wings. So it like came up like like right up next to me, and I shrieked and ran away. So that's cringy too.
Amazing.
Basically, pretty cringy run today. Also, I've been having knee troubles, so it's not like it was a good run anyway.
I gotta say, also making me cringe, pervert geese. I never thought about it, but you're in a park and you hear like honk honk, would it kill you to smile? Like,
oh my God,
off.
I know.
Get outta here.
Misogynistic geese.
I mean, I have been hissed at before by a man. Was it the scariest?
What?
It's one of the scariest ways I've ever been catcalled. Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
shit.
There's like a specific there used to be a specific neighborhood in DC where like the dudes would do that.
What?
Yeah, so like that
never
for
heard
me
of that in
is
my
even
life.
worse than someone being like, "Show me your tits, sit on my face." Like I will take that over just like
a hiss?
Yeah, that was
A
scary.
hiss
That
is
is
what I
wild.
would do if I was trying to not get kidnapped. You know what I mean?
So I guess then they thought maybe I might like it. I don't know, but the that's what I'm saying is the geese are now, you know, they're perverts because they're hissing at you. They're like, ooh,
yeah,
let me get that ass. Let me get that inseam.
Okay, cool. Well, very smooth transition. Oh, it looks like you're trying to start a podcast. Can I be of assistance?
Oh my God.
Is that Clippy? Hey, buddy.
It's the Clippy episode.
Woo.
I would love to start. Adal, tell me a little bit about your history with computers. And I'm not trying to put you on blast. I'm going to start by putting myself on blast.
Yeah.
I was born in 1991, so I was there when it was written. There was a part of my life where there weren't computers, and they got incorporated into my life over the course of my childhood. And so if you had a similar experience, Adal, what is your history with like computers and like old school Microsoft?
Yeah. I was born in 1982, the year of our Lord. And I remember no exposure to computers until maybe I was like 10 or something. And then one of the schools I was at had a computer lab, and we played Oregon Trail, which is like the
Classic.
I feel like most people, not most people my age, maybe their first
Yeah.
exposure to computers. This is back when there's floppy disks versus anything else. And then maybe around age 12 or so, we got our own computer as a family, and that was something where it was like a big to-do. We got this enormous desk. I mean, computers back then were like 20 pieces. They took up so much space.
Yeah.
And my sister and I would like type up little fake newspapers and make fun of each other, and we would play different learning games. I forget some of the names of it. We had Encarta, like Encarta 90 whatever,
That
which was
sounds
like
really familiar.
Yeah.
It was basically like a encyclopedia in disc form. It was really,
yeah.
at the time, it was mind-blowing because you open Encarta and it's like you can look up jaguars and it'd be like, here's a video of a jaguar running, here's what they eat. So, I mean, it's just, it's basically what the internet is now, but at the time, it was mind-blowing.
So much bigger and harder to access.
Yes.
That Encarta that you were talking about, was that on like several different like CDs? Because I remember having an encyclopedia or similar that was on like many CDs.
I feel like it was 2 CDs, maybe? I can't recall, but I feel like it was 2. But then at some point in high school, there was computers in our high school the entire time I was there. I'm not that old, but we would my friends and I would make like GeoCities pages, web pages.
Oh, yeah.
I signed up for my first Hotmail account when I was in high school.
Oh my God, Hotmail. Now that really will age somebody.
Yes. But I'm comfortable with my age, so I'm fine sharing all this. And then when I got to college, that's when I finally got left behind that dusty old Hotmail and upgraded to a Yahoo, my dear.
Oh my God.
Yahoo account. And then
What a dream.
maybe my junior year of college is when Facebook, my university, Illinois State University, was like, everyone has to sign up for this thing called Facebook, and it was all just inside the colleges. So it wasn't, it's not what it is today. It was just within the college. Here's how I message my lab partners or whatever that is. And then when I got out of college is when Facebook was widespread. Everyone could access it. That's when MySpace was big, and you set your top 10 friends or whatever, and you had a song that played on your so that's sort of my journey growing up with computer technology. Clippy, very small part. I remember Clippy. I absolutely remember the Clippy where it was like, please go away, like very intrusive, almost like a parent or something, where it's like, please get out of my room. Always felt like he showed up.
Overbearing.
Yes. I always felt like he showed up at the worst time, and always there's kind of a undercover cop like narc energy to Clippy.
It's a little narky,
right?
Yeah.
Where it's like,
It looks
hey,
like you're
what
writing
are you
a letter
doing?
to your crush. Can I tell your mom?
Hey, what are we doing? Do I smell drugs? And it's like, Clippy,
Clippy.
get out of here, dude. We know you're wired.
He's wearing a wire. Damn. Oh my God. Leela, what about you? Like, what is your little computer history? I see you're at one right now.
I surely am. So in the public school system that I attended, witnessed, it's Henrico County. They actually funded all of the middle schoolers and high schoolers at one point, very early on. I want to say early 2000s. Each one got a laptop.
That's
so
bananas.
when I was in middle school, everybody got I think the parents had to pay like $50 for it. And
Whoa.
And it was
Ain't
like
no school ever given me a laptop.
it was a Mac
That's wild.
too. It was a Mac.
Must be nice.
Yeah, what on
We
earth?
had good funding, I guess, because my parents could never have afforded to give me that. And I think that was what was so cool, is like it was this like resource all of us got. And because of that, I am very, very, very good at typing. Everybody just got used to typing all their notes and sending things in electronically and textbooks on there.
Really early adopters of like online school stuff.
Yeah, I had a laptop all throughout school, pretty much. And I really loved it. I played a lot of Sims.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I remember about Clippy is that he was always in the way, and I always felt like judgy too. I'm like, you know, you didn't know where I was going with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need that right now.
Dear Mom, hello, are you writing a letter to your mom? Fuck off, you don't know me.
It's therapeutic.
What tipped you off, Clippy?
So I always had a computer in my house ever since I was born. My dad, when I was younger, was an investment banker. And so he didn't work in technology. He worked with technology a lot. And so he's had like a gajillion businesses in my life. Like he's really just one of those guys. And so when I was a kid, he had a couple companies, marketing companies that partnered with AOL. And so we were always an AOL family, and we always had a computer. There's like this picture of me in a laundry basket when I'm like 6 months old, and my dad's just at his computer, and I'm like, was he babysitting? Like, what is this? Why am I in a laundry basket?
I think you can take him to court legally for that.
So when I was a little bit older, I got my own computer because I've always been a writer. So I don't think it either didn't hook up to the internet, or maybe it did, but like that poorly. And I would always that's the reason having my own computer is the reason I literally have so much content for this show. Like so much of my old writing to roast is because I always had my own computer, and I've been keeping my own files. But that same computer that I had all the way through the end of high school always had parental controls on it. My dad was one step ahead of me in terms of technology. Yeah. So he knew enough to be afraid. And so I could only go on like AmericanGirlDolls.com and like Claire'sBoutique.com. And there were games there, so I played them. But I definitely remember playing Sims 2 a lot, doing a lot with KidPix back in the day, which was like Microsoft Paint, but like crazy for kids, and you just make crazy art.
So crazy.
In elementary school, I did Type to Learn, which is like literally how, because like I'm a very skilled typer too. That's something that I've heard is like very much of like our generation who was like taught how to use computers, because like people older than us like weren't taught how to use computers in school, and then people younger than us like it's just like assumed they know how to use computers. So I've heard that a lot of Gen Z and beyond like don't know how to type no good because they never learned. But I did fucking Type to Learn, bitch.
Did you ever play that game? We've talked about this, maybe even on this podcast. It was called Odell Down Under, Odell. I think it's like Odell Lake is maybe a famous lake in Australia, but it's like a lake. It was like an early computer game where Like you start as like a tiny, tiny fish, and then like you eat plankton, and then you get into a bigger fish.
I think we talked about that on this show before.
Yeah, it goes all the way up to like great white shark or something like that.
That sounds very familiar, but I can't.
I remember playing that at school. I was very into it.
There were like a lot of really fun games for like smaller kids.
Yeah.
When I was coming up. Yeah. Like there was, I remember my mom used to go to Lifetime Fitness and they had really good computer games at the childcare center at her gym. And so I was always like on the computers and definitely played Oregon Trail.
Number Munchers or Word Munchers? You ever play that?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Very fun. There was a Mario Teaches Typing game.
Oh shit, that's fun. Cool.
Oh, I just found Odell Lake. I don't remember this, but it sounds familiar.
I think there were only like so many ways to do a video game back then.
Yes.
Like this was like N64 times.
Yeah.
Like when like a lot of these games were first coming up, and when Clippy first came to be, that was like N64 times.
Odell Down Under was the sequel to Odell Lake, Adal.
Oh, okay.
Adal Down Under.
I'd go down under. Adelaide.
Oh, yeah.
I'm welcome there.
So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Clippy and some other like Microsoft shenanigans. Got a couple of resources for this. I used Microsoft.com, myfonts.com, the story behind Comic Sans, artsy.net, the life and death of Microsoft Clippy, the paperclip the world loved to hate, and Mental Floss, the tragic life of Clippy, the world's most hated virtual assistant. I don't usually read my sources at the top of the show, but like those are some pretty good titles.
Those are incredible.
So Microsoft was first founded in 1980. Its first Windows came out publicly in 1985. Microsoft Word was created in 1983 under the name Multi-Word Tool. There was no fonts. It was the most basic of word processors, probably more akin to like Notepad today.
Okay, yeah.
In the late 80s, early 90s, when computers were entering the home, kind of around the same time that we were talking about in our memories, people didn't know how to use computers. Like, Adal, you alluded to, like, it was, like, pretty crazy shit. Like, it's very hard to go from, like, a non-computer world, like, into a computer. I think that feeling of, like, strangeness and, like, science fiction magic of, like, being on the computer is going to be, like, lost. You know, a couple generations down the road. You know, the same way that it's hard for us to imagine, like, life without being, like, phones, being able to, like, call. It's like...
Yeah.
That memory is so old.
Yes. There's also, I remember, a weirdness of, like... Well, not weird, but just unexpected. Of, like, I must have been... When we had our first computer in the home, I was maybe 10 or something, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And it was weird to be, like, my mom would call me from the computer room and be like, can you... fix this, can you open up this thing or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, like, my mom's the smartest person in the world. Why does she need me? Like, what is she talking about? And I would know how to do it because I spent so much time on it. But I feel like that was the case for a long time of, like, parents being like, not Luddites, but they just didn't know what they were doing. And then kids being like, let me. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. My mom loves... Hey, Mom, if you're listening, I love you. But she loves to pull a weaponized incompetence when it comes to technology. None of her kids live in her home, but she still is like, can you turn on Hulu? I don't know how, or whatever. And I'm like, Mom. So I definitely relate to that. So they're like, how do we get people to, like, understand how to interface with a computer? How do we do that? And so an idea that they came up with at Microsoft was eventually called Microsoft Bob. Have either of y'all heard of Microsoft Bob?
No.
I love Bob. He was trying to get something done. Did it backfire? Yes. Basically, Microsoft had been doing some research and found that people interacted with computers emotionally the same way that they would interact with humans. Things like being more comfortable, being more honest on their home computer, whereas, like, they would be more, like, polite on, like, a strange computer, stuff like that. Even before Clippy and before Microsoft Bob, people were already kind of, like, anthropomorphizing computers themselves. And so Microsoft was like, how do we use this and help teach people how to use computers using this? Anthropomorphization crushed it. So they developed Microsoft Bob, which basically was a program that resembled like a standard upper middle class home office. And the idea was that connecting computer functions to items in the image of this home office would help people conceptualize like what their computer was capable of. I'm going to share my screen real fast to show y'all a picture. So like here's Microsoft Bob. You can see that it's not even really a home office, I guess, because there's not a computer. It's more like a library with no books on the shelves. Very weird. I'll share a picture of this in the Discord on our Instagram. You can see that there's like a calendar, which I'm sure you could like click on the calendar, like a wall calendar, and you could open it up to find your digital calendar. There's this like incoming mailbox like I have on the inside of my front door. I'm sure you could click on that to access your email. There's a bookshelf. You could probably click that to access your encyclopedia, stuff like that to help people understand. Just to help people like map how to interface with a computer. You know what I mean?
I kind of love this.
Yeah, I like
it's a great
It's delightful.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see in the corner here this dog, where you perhaps have seen, in the position where you perhaps have seen Clippy. This dog that's like, to start a program, just click on it. In this screenshot here, you can see that he's giving you like options, find a program, go to another room, add something, change something. I imagine that my grandma could have benefited a lot from this.
So was this whole system called Microsoft Bob, or is the dog Bob?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think the dog is even called Bob. I think he's called Rover, very uncreatively.
It says Rover's Ramblings.
Oh.
So
Where?
it's got to be Rover.
Oh, yep, there you are. So yeah, this whole program is called Bob. They wanted it to be like unintimidating. I think that's probably why they picked that name. They were like, what's the least intimidating name? I don't know, Bob.
Yeah, I love not even Robert, but like casual. You know this guy.
Yeah, exactly. A fun aside, Comic Sans, which has a very notorious legacy. I talked about this on Wildlings podcast and their blog, which I'll link to in the show notes here if you care more about Comic Sans. But Comic Sans was developed for Microsoft Bob to be like approachable. So I think that if nothing else, Comic Sans is approachable.
That's true. I feel like that's why a lot of people pick it. Like people who don't know.
For like the bake sale.
Yeah. They're like, this is fun. It's approachable. It doesn't feel like an essay. Like,
yeah, it's not Times New Roman. This is not academia.
No. We're just having fun here.
I like that.
In development of Microsoft Bob, they started working with these like characters like Rover. Allegedly, they created this Microsoft program manager, Karen Fries, developed a prototype duck that walked participants through software.
Wait, her real name was Karen Fries?
Yes.
All-time great name. If honestly, real quick, if I'm typing something and Karen Fries pops up, ask away, help away. Like, I think Clippy, for whatever reason, Clippy just sounds obnoxious. If Karen Fries wants something, the world is hers. Anything for Karen Fries.
I need to clarify that Karen Fries developed the duck. The duck was not named Karen Fries.
Huge missed opportunity.
I agree. I actually agree with that.
I cannot say this enough. The world for Karen Fries.
One of your cat's names is Fries, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
That's maybe,
oh my God.
thank you. You're my therapist. This
You've
explains my
identified as biased.
deep-seated love for, because Karen's in today's age,
not the
it's
best.
a negative connotation, but Karen
Yeah.
Fries, come on.
That's she's nice.
Amazing.
So during a test session with this duck, Fries said later in an interview, quote, "This guy was very emotional about it. He grabbed my arm. He said, 'Save all the money on all the manuals. Just give me this duck to always be there and tell me what to do.'"
Let go of my arm one.
The misogyny is not over, y'all. Like,
No.
so there was this duck, there was this dog Rover that we looked at, there was a rat named Scuzz.
Ooh. It's a spicy choice.
Scuzz, quote, "couldn't care less about you, seldom offers to help."
Unbelievable.
Wait,
I like that. a little creature that like negs you, where it's like, hey, I noticed that you're typing something. I don't care. And then you're like, wait. Like, what are you doing? What are you up to?
What are you? He's just chilling, eating a pizza.
That's incredible.
People pretty widely agreed that Microsoft Bob sucked. It was clunky, it was unhelpful, it was infantilizing to users. The tech world did not like it. Melinda, I don't know her name now. I know they got divorced, but Melinda Gates, who was the product manager of Microsoft Bob, even is quoted saying that it was a terrible failure. Oh, wow. So, like, nobody liked it, and they discontinued it by 1996.
That's so interesting, because I feel like we had positive reactions. If that was, like, my first time ever experiencing a computer, I feel like I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Makes it very cozy and welcoming.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like, how much of this reaction was from real first-time users and how much of it was from, like, tech journalism and that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
But nobody liked it, basically. So it was discontinued in 1996, and Microsoft kind of took what they liked from that when they were working on Microsoft Word 1997. That's the Microsoft Word that introduced Clippy, whose full Christian name, by the way, is Clippit.
Come on. Are you
His name is Clippit. Clippy is a nickname.
Why did they give him Microsoft?
He was called Clippit.
Sir Clippit.
So he was, for Microsoft Bob, they literally had designed about 250 prototype characters of this nature. Wow. So Clippit got pulled from Bob over to Word. This is a quote from former Microsoft employee Kevin Atterbury. We designed about 250 characters, and I had about 15 or 20 of them in there. Through working with some social psychologists out of Stanford, we spent 6 months going through them all, whittling them down with focus groups and stuff like that. And Clippy came out to be the #1 most trustful and engaging and endearing character of them all. So he became the default. But I would like to go back to our girl Karen Fries, who said, we did a bunch of focus group testing and the results came back kind of negative. Most of the women thought the characters were too male and that they were leering at them. Women in the focus group specifically said that they didn't like Clippy's leering eyes.
Fucking pervert.
His eyes are full of sex.
They literally are, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Quote, the majority male leadership team decided to move forward anyway.
Oh, wow. I bet they did.
How interesting.
Oh, what, he's leering at you? In that outfit, what do you expect? Clippy, approved.
Listen, in this world, it's either leer or be leered at.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So they rolled out Clippy, and I definitely, in 1997, experienced the beginning of Clippy. As I mentioned, I've always been a writer. I've always used word processors, and I was there in the beginning when Clippy, you would start typing anything, and Clippy would pop up with some helpful tips. I did a lot of short stories, and he would pop up and be like, it looks like you're trying to write a story. Would you like me to format this for you? You know, like a lot of just jumping in. The biggest complaints were that he was really intrusive, like you mentioned, Adal, earlier. He also, because this was early computers, he like couldn't learn the way that virtual assistants sometimes can learn today.
Yeah.
So like if you wrote a letter every day of your life, he would give you the same intro level help every single day of your life.
A tedium to his, yes. It almost sounds like this is the first not instance, but widespread like mansplaining almost of like if he is like a male character to some degree.
Yes, he's he's characterized as he, him, male pretty much across the board with his leering eyes. He is mansplaining. That's very funny. Clippy's a mansplainer.
That is what's happening. I mean, like, I can see, like, you're saying that's, like, kind of, like, the leering eyes, but then, like, also, like, the unsolicited advice was, like, another complaint that the women had, and it's like, well, I'm sure you need it, don't you, sweetheart?
I see you're starting a new paragraph. Actually, they should be indented. Does that make sense?
Bitch!
Like,
I see you just put a parentheses there, like, Do we actually need to include this in this sentence? At this
So rude. Well, and, I was a kid when Clippy was a thing, but in my adulthood, I've worked as a professional book editor for many, many years, and Microsoft Word's like autocorrect or it's like spell check, grammar check is not right. Like a lot of the times it recommends stuff that is like commonly accepted, but it's not like in accordance with the Chicago Manual of Style, which is what publishers use to edit fiction in America. Like it doesn't know that kind of stuff. And also, even like in the past couple years, I've had spell check do some dumb shit where it's like, you're just telling me to do something totally wrong. And any human being in the world who speaks English could read this and be like, that's a wrong suggestion. So never has Microsoft's suggestions ever just been carte blanche great,
I feel like my entire time growing up using computers, anytime I type in my name, they'd be like, "Oh, I think you meant Adam," or
Adam.
I think you meant at all," and I'm like,
Me too.
No,
Adal,
sorry.
When we started this podcast and Leela and I were like, who are the podcasters we know that we could like reach out to be on the show? And I like right at the top, I was like, Adal, our friend. And then I was doing it on my iPad, which has autocorrect.
Yeah.
And Leela was like, who the fuck is Adam? And you just wrote Adam. Who is that?
Why is this our number one?
I'm sorry, did you mean anal? No, I meant Adam. What are you doing? You fucking pervert.
So they gradually kind of phased Clippy out. They first changed him so that he would ask, this is a life lesson for everyone. Do you want help right now? And if you said no, he wouldn't give it to you. That's great advice for when one of your friends comes over and starts venting. Say, do you want to vent or do you want help? Do you want me to make recommendations?
Yes.
It's actually a very good advice for any relationship. Mm-hmm. Even work relationships. Like, are you looking for solutions or are you looking to vent?
Yes.
Yeah.
I said that to an angry client over the phone recently.
That's such a power move to a client, Leela.
Yeah, I know. They didn't like it.
They didn't love it.
No.
I just was wondering, honestly. I was really wondering.
Hey there, it sounds like you're trying to vent.
Yeah.
And go ahead and say that client right now.
Karen Fry.
Karen Fries.
Yeah.
Of the Massachusetts Fries?
So by 2007, Clippy was totally gone. There's been some jokes about like reviving him. I think maybe last year or the year before, Microsoft tweeted and was like, if this tweet gets 20K likes, we'll change the paperclip emoji in Microsoft to be Clippy. And it got like 150,000 likes. So I guess that's what it is now. And then also in 2017... a short story was published by Leonard Delaney called Conquered by Clippy. Oh, I'm sorry, it was 2015. And this is a Clippy erotica.
Yes. I've never read this, but I have to assume it starts off with, "I see you're trying to finger bang me. Would you like some help with that?"
Yeah, I want everyone's ideas of what is in this 16-page story. What do we think is in here?
And I just have to briefly apologize to both your moms in case they're listening, because I've been the worst.
No, you haven't been worse than us. I promise you that. Let's see. What could this possibly be? A woman maybe trying to do like a diary entry, but she's very stressed and overworked, and then Clippy maybe comes in and says like, "Hey, it seems like you're stressed.
Ooh.
Is there anything going on?" And then like he develops a deep emotional understanding with her, and then then the sex
Yes.
He learns how to make his eyes less leering.
He's
Yes.
like, "Hey."
I like that a lot. You've inspired me to take one more guess, a real guess, based off Leela, what you're saying. I think it's a woman writing erotica, and then Clippy goes, "Wouldn't it be hotter if like this happened?" And then from there they start to play out. They become surrogates, or they write themselves into the story, and they have this sort of affair through Microsoft Word.
Oh my god! I think Adal's right. This second one.
I think both of you just wrote a better short story than what this is.
Great.
I mean, okay, I'll be clear. Leonard Delaney, I had a great time reading this. But would you believe that the woman in question does not touch a computer once for the entire time?
What are we doing?
Oh, no.
We're going to find out. Okay, wait, I'm going to share my screen. I'm not sharing my Kindle screen. That sounds illegal. But here's this that I paid for. Here we look at the cover.
Ooh.
It's okay.
Describe the cover.
There's a lot going on. Okay, so it says conquered by Clippy. 3 words. Each word is a different color, which there's a lot going on. Secondly, there is a attractive redhead who's kind of looking at you, the reader, but then right behind her is a giant Clippy who is staring directly at her asshole.
With very leery eyebrows.
Yeah.
If I do
She's
say
leering.
so.
Yes.
She's giving 18 years old and one-day stripper, in my opinion.
Yes.
Oh, no.
She is young of face.
Her
She's
lingerie
young of
is
face.
young of face. Her lingerie almost looks like exports colors. So this feels like this woman was made for like the MTV generation. Right?
Yes,
The sort of,
she's giving like Paramore energy.
yes, the bright
Yeah.
green lingerie gives export energy. Export?
Yeah.
No. Is that what that was? Yeah.
I don't know what
X
you're
Games?
saying, but
X Games, thank you.
Oh,
Export's
okay,
a gym,
okay.
I think.
I thought you were saying like exports and imports, and
Oh,
I was
yes.
like, what?
Yes, business.
I think she's a mail order bride, an export.
Okay, so conquered by Clippy, Leonard Delaney. It says ages 17 plus, and I actually need to fact check how much I spent on this. I want it on the record.
Do we think this short story inspired Chuck Tingle?
It definitely, like, in terms of like stone cold serious commitment to ludicrosity,
Yeah.
is very reminiscent of Chuck Tingle.
Okay.
It won't tell me how much it cost because I already bought it, but it definitely was like $6 or $7, and it's like 16 pages long.
You got
Which is,
ripped off.
it was honestly a relief because I was like, it said it's 60 pages long, and I was like, how can this go for 60 pages? But the last 45 pages are all just like ads and bonus stories. So I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, so
That's wild.
you'll see as I kind of get into the text here. Well, first of
Wait,
all,
hold
look
on.
at this guy.
Whoa.
Look at this
Look
cool
at this
guy.
cool cat.
Yeah.
Leonard Delaney. He's wearing like a what do you call that? Like an aviator jacket,
bomber
and
jacket?
Bomber
a
jacket,
bomber
yeah.
jacket and aviator glasses. Like he looks like a World War II pilot.
No, he thinks he looks like a World War II.
Well,
pilot.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of guy who is like, I'm going to prom solo, and like shows up with a beer hat or something, like the beer hat with the straws, and is like, woo, crushed it, and everyone's like, what a piece of shit, and he leaves thinking he's like in an 80s movie. This guy sucks.
He's gonna be at prom solo because he has a long it says this in his author bio, which is unhinged. Maintaining a long distance relationship with his girlfriend Misty, aka AON16, who he really wishes would respond to his DMs. What is happening?
What is happening? Wait, when was this?
2015.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, like, should we just read this bio too?
Go ahead, Leela.
Okay. Leonard Delaney has been a freelance novelist since 2012. He writes from the heart instead of wasting time with research or experience. His publications thus far have earned him dozens of dollars in royalty payments. I mean,
Okay,
that's
he,
about
he
right
has
for
some self-awareness. I like this
That's
guy a
what
little
I'm
bit.
saying.
I like this guy a little
Yeah.
bit better now. Okay, he has some self-awareness.
Living a clean lifestyle has allowed Leonard to focus on doing good in school, honing his writing, and taking a course on spreadsheets every Friday night. He lives well outside of Toronto, or does he live outside?
He lives in Arizona.
He lives well
I'm just
outside of
kidding.
Toronto with his mother and her cat, while maintaining a long-distance relationship with his girlfriend Misty, aka AON16, who he really wishes would respond to his DMs and is beginning to think is dead.
Okay. A faster swing in history has not happened. I like this guy now.
Yeah, maybe he's great. I don't know. His ultimate goal is to top the ebook charts on website Amazon.com. Ever heard of it?
That's funny. I like this guy, actually.
I like him too. And like, okay, so further context, this book, Conquered by Clippy, is the second in a series. You will see up here, it says Digital Desires Book 2. The first one in the series is called Taken by the Tetris Blocks.
Okay.
All right.
Some other books by him: The Digital Desires Inbox, The Minions in Me,
The Minions in Me.
Written by Uber.
This truly sounds like he predates Chuck Tingle.
Yes, this book.
Yeah.
He has a book called Oregon Patriots Occupied My Butt, which is a straight up Chuck Tingle book title. He does a lot of in my butt stuff.
So Chuck Tingle's identity is a mystery, right? Could this guy be Chuck Tingle?
Maybe.
Okay.
I think Chuck Tingle, at least what I've read of him, I've only read like less than 1% of his books because he's prolific, but like he can write a good story.
Yeah.
They're just really crazy conceptually. So you never know. We do want to cover Chuck Tingle on the bonus show eventually, because the bonus show is where we cover stuff that's like not that cringe, and like Chuck Tingle stuff is like extremely insane, but it's not cringy. It's like pretty cool. I found out about Chuck Tingle when he, right after J.K. Rowling tweeted those super transphobic things in 2020 that made us all aware of her true character. He almost immediately published a book called Harriet Porber, Trans Wizard Harriet Porber and the Bad Boy Parasaurolophus. So it's like this
Incredible.
trans wizard who falls in love with a trans dinosaur. It's very funny.
Trans dinosaur.
That fucking rules.
I read that and it was good. I mean, it was insane, but
Yeah.
it was pretty good.
That rules.
So we're just going to read some selections. Okay. I started to highlight the funny parts, but as you may have noticed on this first page, I highlighted the entire thing. So I thought we could just like read this popcorn style until it is not funny anymore.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or until we get collectively so horny
So horny,
that we have to just
stop.
slam our laptop
have to
shut.
stop.
Yeah.
Christy Ackerlund was an independent woman. When the clerk at the grocery store asked her if she needed help bagging her groceries, she said no thanks. When a man tried to hold a door for her, she went through another door. When she got back to her apartment building, she skipped the elevator and hiked up the stairs instead. She even hated having to wear glasses over her striking gray eyes. And did she really need this hairband helping her flowing red hair stay out of her face? But she kept her glasses on and her hair up because she needed her vision unobstructed in order to read her email. Adal, would you like to start reading the email?
Yes, she was pleased by what she saw, and this, I assume, is now with the email. Miss Ackerlund, we have read your blog about the blocks. See the previous Christy Ackerlund adventure taken by the Tetris blocks, and are impressed by your relationship with inanimate objects and ability to communicate using words. We have discovered an ancient alien artifact in the middle of a remote and dangerous location. We would like to send you there alone without any help to tell the artifact's story. Yours, Phil Gates, CEO, Kintasso Corporation. Christy expertly navigated her computer's operating system to formulate a perfectly formatted reply to Kintasso. I'm in, she wrote.
Okay, so I lied. She does touch a computer, but
Okay.
this is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Phil Gates is a great smokescreen there.
Yes. So let me see. Did I continue highlight? No, there's no highlighting this book. So she gets picked up by this guy, Phil Gates, who is like an old guy who hits on her like aggressively. That's like his only character trait is that he hits on her. Okay, here, Leela, do you want to start with finally?
Yes. Finally, they approached the Silicon Valley. This is where we unearthed the vessel, explained Phil. We were mining for computer chips, and there it was, in the middle of an underground crater. The vessel is in the middle, but there are other pieces spread about the area. Together, they may tell a story. We reasoned that it was a job for a writer to piece the story together and publish a white paper. Get me down there, and I'm your girl, said Christy. Phil turned to her. His smile was a little too wide, and he stared at her a little too long.
So literally, I mean, she gets hired for this job on the premise that she fucked Tetris. They're like, we need someone who can write about technology.
That's wild. I mean, depending on the piece, it's wild. I'm trying to think of what piece would be the most appealing sexually.
I think one of the L-shaped ones.
Yes.
That's a
Ooh,
classic.
yeah.
That's a
tough
classic.
spot to
Yeah.
You got the for the butthole, the little L.
Yeah.
L for the butthole.
We have.
pink one and
I
the
like that
stick.
you said it like a waiter suggesting a menu item. For the butthole, of course, we have. For the kids.
The helicopter goes down for like a silicon geyser, and the helicopter goes down. Christy gets out to go find that artifact.
So is Clippy the artifact? Is Clippy meant to be an ancient alien species?
Just you wait.
Okay.
Just you wait. The alien vessel was a long, gray, pill-shaped enclosure sticking out of the ground. It was slightly taller than Christy and had no visible windows or openings except for a tiny hole with a lens inside. She picked up a piece of gray metal paneling. There was something embossed in it, a vertical line crossed by a shorter horizontal line. It's a cross, said Phil. Are we dealing with an ancient Christian cult? Chrissy writes it down. The door of the vessel opens. Adal, is it your turn? Would you care to read?
Oh, yeah. A high-pitched, bouncy voice echoed out of the vessel. Would you like some assistance today? Christy raised one of her sculpted eyebrows. A figure climbed out of the top of the vessel and pounced to the ground. Christy's jaw dropped as she found herself staring at a giant living paperclip. The curled rod of alien steel flexed and creaked as it bounced in place. A pair of white orbs with black lenses in the middle stared at her. Well, it says stared at here.
Oh, it does?
But
yeah.
I assume it meant to say her. Clippy could have helped with that. This paperclip had eyes? Dark ridges above the cameras acted as eyebrows and made a quiet bzzz sound as they raised. It looks like you're trying to write a letter. Would you like help? Asked the alien paperclip. No thanks. I was doing just fine, said Christy, looking at the symbol on her page. This is fucking hot.
It's hot. So they realize that the symbol she found is the letter T.
Oh.
Phil says, "What are you, you magnificently intelligent machine?" "I'm Clippy, your office assistant. Would you like some assistance today?"
Incredible.
So Phil and Clippy become friends while Christy is an independent woman on the job. Okay, so she's looking around. She's trying to figure out what this alien artifact is. Clippy keeps offering assistance, but as you might remember, Christy is an independent woman,
Yes.
so she declines.
Yeah.
Leela, do you want to start reading the highlighted section?
There's an opening, she said. It leads below the vessel where we found you, Clippy. Do you know what's down there? I am an office assistant. Can I assist you with your letter? So that's a no. Christy cleared some rocks from the opening, then eased herself inside. She emerged into a cavern pitch with blackness, but she had come prepared. She reached for her tool belt, the weight of which was pulling her jeans down so that her red peonies peeked over the edge. When she turned on her flashlight, she found Clippy in front of her, his camera eyes aimed at her waistline. For once, he didn't say anything. A small portion of her annoyance at the situation somehow turned into excitement, and she got a brief thrill from having Clippy's inhuman eyes exploring her body.
Oh my god, this is so funny. Phil keeps hitting on her, and Clippy somersaulted over the pit. "Looks like an awkward romantic situation," he said. "Can I assist in getting this guy off you?"
Yay, Clippy!
Yay! Cock block.
So they're like fucking around, and eventually there's like an explosion. What happens? I don't know. The ground is crumbling. There's an explosion, whatever. Clippy offers assistance. Christy finally accepts the assistance, and then she passes out. Adal, would you like to start reading here?
Yeah. Christy blinked dust out of her eyes. She felt strong arms around her. Clippy was surprisingly warm to the touch. He shrugged off some cables and broken servers that he had prevented from crushing her. "Thank you for saving me," said Christy. "Too bad about Phil Gates." One sneakered foot stuck out from a pile of metal lights and cracked motherboards. "It's probably how he would have wanted to go," said Clippy.
True, says Christy. Like, what
Incredible.
on earth?
Clippy reached out his loose end and she let him help her up. "I feel different," he said. These computers were my brain, and now that it is damaged, I don't feel compelled to help you with everything. Can't say I'm disappointed. I do still want to assist you, he said. His digital gaze scanned her body, and one eyebrow raised slightly. But it's no longer because of my programming. Fuck yes. Christy looked down and she saw that the loose end in the middle of Clippy's coil was sticking out. It glowed red at the end. He has like a dog penis. It glowed red at the end as if his rod had been stuck in a fire. Clippy had a boner.
No.
Best, fuck Shakespeare. Most perfect sentence written in the human language. Clippy had a boner. You've been programmed to be very human, she said. Humans have certain needs. You already helped me by saving my life. How about I help you for once? Oh my God.
I'm micro hard, he muttered, first of all.
Instead of Microsoft. Amazing.
Layla, do you want to read this?
Oh, this gets, okay, we're getting into it.
I'm micro hard, he muttered. She smiled slyly, then got on her knees. Unlike an actual paperclip, the end of his coiled body was rounded and felt smooth in her mouth. As she laughed and sucked and tongued at it, it became even redder and hotter. Her own human body part, in parentheses, vagina, felt hot too.
Okay, so she starts masturbating. Would you like me to assist? Shut up, Clippy. Okay. Christy's delicate fingers delicately pulled her panties aside and then began rubbing her clit, vagina, and genitals.
Her vagina and genitals? Damn, she was horny.
She reached behind her back and struggled to get her bra off. Would you like me to? Shut the fuck up, Clippy. Finally saying that out loud turned her on so damn much. She got the bra off and her perfectly engineered breasts popped free with nipples like eager little puppy noses.
Oh, this rules. Nipples like eager little puppy noses?
Yeah. It's bad. Adal, sorry here, she ripped her panties off. Just go ahead.
I appreciate your suggestion, but I do have to start from where you left off.
Okay, go right ahead.
As she brought herself to the edge of female orgasm, Clippy uncoiled further and the red glow spread higher up his shaft. His eyes slid to stay near the coiled part of his body, but remained firmly fixated on Christy. She ripped her panties off and tossed them aside as she arched her back, so close to coming, but the frustration of not quite getting there must have shown on her face. Would you like? Yes, Clippy. Assist me hard. He uncoiled almost entirely, so he was a straight rod with only a little curl at the top for his eyes to attach to with magnets or whatever. This is incredible. The length of his metal shaft glowed with digital passion. He sprung forward, bounced into the air, and landed inside Christy's lady socket. She exploded with orgasmic liquid immediately, bubbling around the tip of Clippy's bra. Oh no. If he's making her orgasm liquid bubble, that's too hot.
It gets so much more alarming. It gets really alarming, actually. Okay. Leela, you want to pick up?
Assist me deeper, Christy commanded. He complied, pushing more of his delightfully hot rod inside of her, thrusting with a strength that only alien technology could power.
You forget that this is a hunt for alien technology.
Deeper! He pushed on until nearly half his body was inside her.
Whoa, too much.
The supple flesh below her sternum bulged.
Oh. Sternum?
Oh.
She felt his warmth push past her pussy. Okay, now we're saying pussy. Towards her internal organs, including her heart.
I think you should have said it like, including her heart.
Including her heart.
And I'm sorry, you only paid $7 for this? This was a steal.
It looks like you are trying to reach orgasm. Can I assist you using butt stuff? With his rod so deep inside of her, Clippy was easily able to pick her up like a kebab and flip her onto her hands and knees. He curled so that one end could reach her butt while keeping the other end in her pussy. Clippy wasn't the first living inanimate object that Christy had made love to, but she had never felt anything like this. He got his end to vibrate like an Xbox controller as he twiddled the rim of her anus. At the same time, his other end pushed internal buttons she didn't even know were there as a reminder in her heart.
Oh, no.
She spurted lady butter all over Clippy. Lady butter?
Not lady butter.
Okay,
That's horrible.
here's the
That's
thing.
really bad.
How does it feel for the three of us to know none of us can ever run for political office? The minute this airs, our political careers are over.
That's okay.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
fate
I'm
is
alright.
sealed.
Yeah. As she spurted lady butter all over Clippy, she briefly remembered her mission to find more letters and figure out what he was.
The letters.
She felt both of her holes fill up with whatever substance paperclips emitted.
No.
No.
She hoped this didn't make her pregnant again.
Again.
Both of them shuddered with pleasure. Then Clippy uncurled out of her. He was so deep that it sounded like sh-sh-sh-sh-slop as he retreated from her cavities. A bit of silver liquid, like that mercury stuff that used to be in thermometers, dribbled from Christy's love port. She turned over and lay down on a bed of broken computer parts. "Thank you for your assistance," she said.
Okay,
Wow.
so that's like basically it. She figures out that the company that hired her planted Clippy here. You were created by Contaso, the very company that sent me to investigate this crash site. You're not an alien artifact after all. It's a test off. You didn't crash from space. Oh, and then Phil Gates was a robot the whole time.
What?
Something about I thought if I brought you here and you got to know us intimately, you could write about how great we are, and Contoso would have to give in to public pressure and unbury us. Christy gasped. "That is so manipulative." "Sorry," said Clippy, his eyebrows slanted. "I didn't know about any of this. I just wanted to assist."
But he's
He's
telling.
a fuckboy.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
So
The whole thing.
this is fucking incredible. If he comes Mercury, she's dead in a week, right?
I think that's not good for your vagina. It's really not even good to put soap in there.
Yeah, I think Mercury is pretty lethal.
It's a little
Yeah.
much.
But it just looked like the silver mercury.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was something else.
Well, if it was bubbling, I don't know.
I've read a couple of these erotica, these like gimmicky eroticas. I'm a curious little girl. And like, I'm always like, how are they going to have Clippy fuck someone? That's
Yeah.
crazy. And it's always like, oh, the answer is way too literally. It's like exactly the only way Clippy
Yes.
could fuck anyone.
Yeah. Incredible.
Thank you guys for doing that little performance art with me.
I would say my pleasure, but I'm both haunted and delighted. So
My
Please don't say
pleasure.
my pleasure to assist. Do we think that Siri? What are the two big ones now? Are Alexa and Siri?
Siri,
Do we think
yeah.
Alexa
Yeah.
and Siri were born out of the hatred for like a anthropomorphized image, where it's like, let's have a disembodied voice who's sort of monotone versus versus like an object that you're like, this thing sucks?
Honestly, like the way that people responded to Clippy being condescending definitely could have led to like a woman explaining instead, because
Yes.
women inherently don't mansplain like that.
Good call. Yeah, very good call.
Yeah. I mean, I think inherently there's always been like this, like, we really want some kind of virtual assistant. Like in sci-fi, that's always like been a thing when people like write stories about the future, even in the 50s. So like,
Oh, yeah.
I get where they were going. And I think Alexa and Siri are like so much better and more helpful than
Yes.
Clippy ever was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I guess the thing with Clippy is it's like, at the time, nobody didn't know how to write a letter.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to maybe work a computer.
Yeah, there's like
Yeah.
other things that probably would have been more beneficial than like,
Bob.
are you indenting the second paragraph? You know?
Bring back Bob. That's all I have
Bring
to say.
back Bob. Or even better, Karen Fries, if you're out there, My kingdom for a duck called Karen Fries. Please, anything.
Leela, I'm not sure how to play our final little game here. Should we?
No. I mean, like, okay, so Adal, full disclosure. Usually at the end of these episodes, we play a game where we make everybody say whether this piece was horny, sad, or just plain bad.
It's usually like a poem I wrote when I was 14.
Right.
Yeah, this was all three.
This was all three.
It was all three. Oh, I don't know that it was sad at all, actually.
Oh, I think it's very sad.
Do you?
It's a little sad how that Bob and Clippy had to die.
Oh.
Conquered by Clippy, horny. Clippy without Conquered by Clippy, I think just plain bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to evaluate them separately.
Yeah.
Well, then what's sad?
Oh, the fact that they had to die.
Oh,
The fact they had to die, the fact that Christy was tricked, the fact that
the fact that our moms had to hear that.
Yes, the fact that Clippy can never be with his own kind now that he's tasted the sweet, sweet fruit of human anatomy.
I know. He should go find a Tetris piece.
Yes.
They could... Some docking potential there.
Some soaking, some docking.
Oh my God.
Lady butter. Oh.
It's really bad.
Wow. Does anyone have any final notes or questions about Clippy?
Your Honor, no further questions, no further comments. Put me in jail. Put me in horny jail. I'm under arrest.
Yeah, I need no further assistance at this point.
Awesome.
I'm going to my office immediately after this and dumping all my paper clips in the trash. I cannot make eye contact with any of my paper clips now.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you so much for having me. This was truly delightful.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on the show. Remind the listeners where they can find you.
Please check out Hello from the Magic Tavern, wherever you find podcasts, Hey Riddle Riddle, and The Word Association. Check out any or all of those. And we have Patreons for Magic Tavern and Hey Riddle Riddle have Patreons. So if you are so inclined, please support those as well.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's it for Burn Before Reading.
Until next time, remember,
your cringe is part of you.
But only a buttery part of you.
Ew, don't say buttery.
Paperclip. Paperclip. Is that something? Paperclits.
Oh, paperclits.
Paperclit.
Paperclits.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. My new tattoo.
This podcast was created by me, Christina Kahn.
Hosted and produced by Christina Kahn and me, Leela Hilton.
Follow me online at Christina Kahn and buy my book, Indie Book Publishing, from start to finish.
After you bought Tina's book, follow me online at Leels for Reels.
Our theme music was produced by Sakura Wishes.
And our logo was designed by Michael Hardison. Follow Michael on Instagram at RoyGBiv or check out his work at wildlingpress.com.
Thanks for listening, friends.
See you next time.
Dave X Media.